And the crisis in Iraq continues to escalate, the government losing large parts of the country to ISIS. In the course of just a couple of weeks, the region has changed, heading to possibly what could become a terrorist state or what has been announced as the 21st century caliphate. Here to discuss what this means in the big picture, our friend, Middle East expert, Dr. Rabil. Professor, we welcome you back to America's Forum.
Thank you, JD. It's always a pleasure to be here with you guys. Thank you. Thank you. It's my pleasure.
We're so glad to have you here.
Thank you. Thank you. It's my pleasure.
We take a look at ISIS.
Yes.
And some newspaper accounts in Europe
yes.
take a step back and say, hey, this is the new Taliban.
Yes.
First of all, do you think that's a good analogy? And what does the rise of ISIS or this new caliphate mean to America and to the rest of the world?
All right. First, I don't think it's a precise analogy. Why? Because they are Salafi jihadi. The Taliban, they might share some of their ideology, having an Islamic State undergirded by Sharia law. But what you have in ISIS, and now it's called the Islamic State after the establishment of the caliphate, they have a theology. They have a religio-political program. And that religio-political program entails creating a caliphate, and that caliphate has to expand to include all Sunni majority areas, all, I would say, majority areas. So they are ambitious, they are bold, they have money, they use terror, and they use theology to justify their actions. And what do I mean theology, which is extremely important for us to understand? They present themselves as the saved or victorious sect. They would say, we are the rightful Muslim. We are the saved sect that Prophet Muhammad spoke about, and you are not. You have to come to us, you have to follow us, and we are going to lead you to re-establish the caliphate and bring the glory of Islam.
In so many ways, they're trying to take us back to medieval times, really. You're an expert, Dr. Rabil, on caliphates and caliphs.
Yes.
How do they differ, though?
Well,
modern caliphates versus the medieval ones that we've read about in history.
Well, you are absolutely right on one point. They are taken back to the Middle Ages. But there is something also here to note. In the Middle Ages, Islam was a civilization. And the caliph really somehow, he ruled wild swaths of territory, and he was a spiritual and temporal ruler. Mainly now they are introducing this theology, this Salafi jihadi theology, in the office of the caliphate. And they're saying, listen, we are going to do what no one did before. And this is the problem. Mainly, as I mentioned, presenting themselves as different than other Muslims, including different than other caliph. Something I would like to point out. Mainly, you look at him now, and he is presenting himself as from the tribe of Quraysh. Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi al-Qurayshi. Why he is al-Quraysh? Mainly, al-Quraysh entitled him to be someone to become a ruler of the Arab world. So here now the Saudi can no longer say, oh, listen, we are right for ruler, or the others. You have to be from the Quraysh tribe, the Prophet of Muhammad tribes, to become a ruler.
So again, al-Baghdadi is claiming to be of the lineage
of Prophet Muhammad, exactly.
And so with that, he is claiming his right theologically.
Yes, theologically, he's claiming a right to be the caliph. Absolutely right, JD. You are right on mark.
His ambitions don't necessarily seem to be rooted in theology. He seemed the power and the attraction of moving aggressively. If this is in fact al-Baghdadi, now we've heard reports he may have been severely wounded in battle with Iraq. We don't know. There's a lot of fog surrounding what's going on right now. You have al-Baghdadi, and you made clear his lineage. But curiously, now you see Europeans coming in. A Chechen who appears to be, if not second in command, then prominent in the leadership of ISIS. Is this going to truly turn into an international type of organization?
Already it is a transnational organization. Already it was in Iraq, and once it expanded into Syria. You have Omar al-Shishani, you have al-Shishani. He has been a leader in Syria fighting for quite some time, at first with Jabhat al-Nusra, and then with al-Baghdadi. And mainly you have a whole emirate, mainly not only from Chechnya, from Ingushetia, from Dagestan, who really feel alienated, and they fight according to that transnational idea. Mainly any front that include Muslims, it is the rightful front. So here what you have, of course, and this is what I worry about, mainly it's becoming a magnet to all those who to all those Muslims who are alienated, whether in Europe or whether in the Middle East or whether in the Malay Peninsula.
And this also comes right here to the United States, because we've seen some
in Vero Beach. You had one who went and he blew himself. You know, he was a suicide bombing from Vero Beach. You have one Lebanese now. He today I read he went to Iraq and he operated under the wing of ISIS, and he carried a suicide attack in Iraq.
So with those Americans or people who have lived here going over to fight there, obviously the concern is they come back home.
Yes. Yes, it's a big concern, and mainly this is the main concern for the Europeans. Here we might have, you know, I would say dozens, I don't know exactly, but in Europe you have hundreds. You have hundreds they are going there. And this is a big problem for the international community. And myself, let me say this, and thank you for inviting me, and let me take this opportunity. I think United States, regardless of whether it's going to pursue a political solution or a concerted political action with different neighbors, I think we should take certain actions. And let me underscore and emphasize this. Every day we don't do something about Islamic State, every day is going to be harder for us to dislodge them. And we have to remember that it's extremely important.
So as you lay this out, and you're careful to couch it, whether it's a, quote, political solution.
Yes.
And in my field of experience, you have political actions, diplomacy, and you also have the use of military might.
Yes.
Now, Americans have gotten skittish after over a decade of seeing boots on the ground in Afghanistan and in Iraq. In your opinion, should other assets be brought to bear? Should air power be used? Should the United States take overt action to stop the rise of this modern caliphate?
Absolutely, absolutely. This is my position. And as I mentioned, United States should pursue a political solution out of which it will have a military strategy to work with the government in the region. You have a threat to Turkey, you have a threat to Saudi Arabia, and the biggest threat we are facing now, Jordan and Lebanon. In Jordan, you have already Salafi community. In Lebanon, you have 1.5 million Syrian refugees. What do you think? What kind of ideology is it going to embrace? So yes, United States should pursue a political solution, but also at the same time should go ahead and figure out a way to go and curb the power and the expansion of the Islamic State.
Give us a prediction, Dr. Rabil. That political solution, does that include Nouri al-Maliki, say, 2 years from now, 3 years from now?
Well, Nouri al-Maliki, you are already, something happened in Iraq now. They met in the parliament and they postponed it. Nouri al-Maliki should say himself, listen, I'll be part, but I'm not going to be a prime minister.
But he refuses to step down.
Yeah, and he should. I think he should.
Step down.
Yeah, and he should. I think he should really take that decision and say, well, I'm not going to be not part of this government. But I will be part of this government, but not the prime minister, because we need the Sunni to be part of that. You cannot, and United States cannot side with one party or a team or appears to be siding with one party against one party. You know what, we are going to side with the Shia against the Sunni or with the Sunni against the Shia. It's extremely problematic for us. So this is where, he has to understand now he is at the critical junction. Iraq is going in two directions. Either it's going to be partitioned forever, or he's going to have some kind to salvage and say, listen, we are going to live in a federal Iraq. This is what I would like to see. And he has to take really serious decisions. This is the time of a moment of a great decision taking now.
Doctor, we had General Michael Hayden on this program a couple of weeks ago. He said, as far as he is concerned, Iraq is no more, that it's headed for partition. Would you agree?
Well, to some extent, I agree, because the way things happening on the ground, this is tell us what's happening. But also, I still have some hope. And the hope is that let them have in a federal Iraq, let the Kurds have their autonomy, the Sunni have their autonomy, and the Shia have their autonomy, and let them have weak central authorities. Something we have to consider, and let me say it. In the US invasion of Iraq, yes, we have done a lot of mistakes, but something United States did is that it curbed central authorities throughout Muslim history in that part of the world. Always central authorities wanted to impose their rule. Why? Let the people have their autonomy in Syria, in Lebanon, especially in Iraq. Let them have their autonomy and let them be affiliated with the central government that is weak and open to all of them.
Only about a minute remains, really less than a minute. Just very quickly.
Yes.
Looks like Russia and Iran are suddenly now coming in with aircraft, with airmen. should the United States stand side by side? Should we have Iran and Russia as, quote, allies in a temporary alliance?
There is something here. I will take you back to 2006, 2005, 2006, 2007. Mainly when we say we didn't cooperate with Iran, it's the extent to which we cooperate. We didn't cooperate militarily with Iran, but mainly we spoke with the Iranian and we told them what kind of Iraq you want to have. You want to have a 3, 4, or 5 Iraq. The Iranians, they are worried about the Pax Americana then. And mainly, and they are.
So they're there. The bottom line. We have less than 20 seconds. Yes. They're stirring up trouble. We have to keep our eye on what transpires there.
Exactly, and do something with the Islamic State. Period. Regardless.
Dr. Robert Rabil, we thank you for your insights. There is more to come on America's Forum.